it should not be discriminatory.
Mr. President, they didn't say that.
Kuna mkakati
they said it is as it is discriminatory. And therefore unconstitutional.
No,
you interpret it.
The problem of unconstitutional was made by the media.
Mambo yalichemka mtazamaji wangu upande wa State House siku ya Jumapili tarehe 17 mwezi wa 12 2023, kipindi ambapo William Samoei Ruto alikuwa na kikao na wanahabari, ambapo wanahabari walikuwa wanamuuliza maswali kisha yeye anayejibu. Naelewa kwamba wanahabari wamekuwa wakipitia maswali ambayo Wakenya wanauliza na ilikuwa ni zamu yao kuweza kuyawasilisha kwake William Samoei Arap Ruto. Jinsi ambavyo imeweza kuona hapa hivyo William Samoei Ruto kwa ukali, nusura aweze kumtwanga huyu mtangazaji wa kituo cha Citizen TV Sam Gituku, kipindi ambapo aliweza kumuuliza mbona unawatoza wa Kenya housing levy, kipindi ambapo mahakama iliweza kusema it's unconstitutional. Lakini badala ya William Samoei Ruto kuweza kupeana jibu fasaha, jibu mwafaka, umeweza kusikia akisema kwamba unconstitutionality iliweza kuletwa na vyombo vya habari. Lakini kutoka kule mahakamani, mahakama iliweza kusema kwamba kuwatoza wa Kenya housing levy bila ya kuweza kufanya public participation, it was unconstitutional. Kwani sisi ndio hatuelewi jina unconstitutional linamaanisha nini? Jinsi hiyo ndio mambo yalikuwa, mtazamaji wangu. William Samoei Ruto anaulizwa hili na baadaye ya kuweza kujibu lile swali ambalo anaulizwa anapita kando, anajibu swali tofauti. Huo ndio ukora amekuwa akitumia kipindi ambapo anaongoza taifa la Kenya. Kuna hili swali ambalo aliweza kuulizwa kwamba tumekuwa tukisikia akisema hapa nchini Marekani imempea kazi, Saudi Arabia imempea kazi, Germany imempea kazi. Ataenda kuhakikishaje Wakenya wanapata ile kazi? Na anatuambia kwamba kwamba upande wa NYS there are people who are being trained kuweza kuelekea upande wa rubaa za kimataifa kufanya kazi. Let me ask you, kwani ni watu wote Kenya mzima ambao wameweza kuchukuliwa NYS? Hata NYS yenyewe kuchukuliwa kule ni discrimination inafanywa, upendeleo inafanywa, kumaanisha hizi kazi zenye amekuwa kiimba hapa nchini Saudi Arabia imempea, kumaanisha hizi kazi ambazo tumeweza kusikia kiimba hapa nchini ni NYS pekee ndio watakuja kupewa. Kumaanisha mtu kama mimi mwenye bado sijaweza kujoin NYS siwezi nikapata hiyo kazi. Kumaanisha ewe mtazamaji wangu, mtoto wako mwenye hajaweza kujoin NYS hawezi akapata nafasi ya kwenda kufanya kazi upande wa Marekani. Na anatudanganya tu peupe eti kwamba nurses ndio wanatrainiwa upande wa NYS. Since when nurses ambao wako trained tena wakaenda NYS? Hebu msikilize.
As I talk to you here, there are people being trained in NYS today for people who are on the space of export of labor, because we have to have interventions. We have to have, I mean, it is different. They are nurses.
Meweza kusikia? Je, tuko na taifa hapa? Tuko na taifa hapa? Kipindi ambapo anaulizwa hizi kazi Wakenya wataenda kupataje wote, yeye anajibu kwamba Wakenya wako NYS. NYS wanaendelea kutrainiwa waende kufanya kazi ya nursing. Since when NYS imeanza kutrain nursing hapa nchini? Alafu kuna kitu ambacho kimeweza kunishangaza. Ukitaka mkosane na bwana William Samoei Ruto, zungumzia kitu ambacho kinahusiana na taxes. Wanahabari kwenye kanda ambao nataka niuchezee, wanahabari kutoka media zote hapa nchini ambao walikuwa kule Ikulu waliweza kumuuliza rais, tunataka uweze kuelezea Wakenya kipindi ambapo ulikuwa unapiga kampeni, uliweza kuambia Wakenya kwamba housing levy itakuwa ni kujitolea. Umesikia? Sasa hivi umeweza kuipitisha, imekuwa sheria ambayo ni tax, whether you are employed or not you must pay. Mbona sasa hivi unataka kuwalazimishia Wakenya waweze kulipa tax ambayo kipindi cha kampeni haukuweza kuambia kwamba itakuwa ni tax. Uliwaambia itakuwa ni levy, kujitolea ndio unalipa. Pili, wakaweza kumuuliza, mbona unawaumiza Wakenya kwa kuweza kuwaletea tax zote nyingi mpaka unakuta kwamba Mkenya anaenda nyumbani mshahara ukiwa umeisha. Mfano, housing levy, kuna National Insurance Fund, NSSF imeongezwa, NHIF imeongezwa, Pay as you earn imeongezwa, taxes za mafuta zimeongezwa. Na hizo zote wanaambiwa kwamba ni must, you have to pay. Wanahabari hao wakaweza kumuuliza, kipindi cha kampeni haukutuambia kwamba taxes zitaletwa? Lakini badala ya kujibu hili Wakenya waweze kuridhika, anapita nje. Na ndio nakuambia kwamba katika taifa la Kenya hatuna kiongozi ambaye ataweza kututetea, hatuna kiongozi ambaye anaweza kasimama tisti aweze kuzungumza mambo ambayo yanawaingia Wakenya vichwa. Most of the people walikuwa wamezima TV. Pindi tu William Samoei Ruto alianza kuzungumza na wanahabari, most of the people walizima TV. Anyway, chukua sekundi yako chache uweze kusikiliza haya jinsi ambavyo alikuwa anaulizwa maswali na anajibu vitu ambavyo haviko.
My focus is to make sure that we expand the space of people who are working, and it is going to be deliberate. It's going to be difficult, but it must be deliberate. That is why housing is one plank where we're going to create jobs. Agriculture is another space in the special economic zones and the exports, and that space we're going to grow jobs. The digital space, which I have negotiated with Facebook, I've negotiated with Meta, for us to have digital jobs in Kenya. You already know that the number of people who are working in the digital space, and we are going to export more labor. As I talk to you here, there are people being trained in NYS today for people who are on the space of export of labor, because we have to have interventions. We have to have. I mean, it is different. They are nurses. They are adverts that the Ministry of Labor goes out to look for them.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kuhusiana na ada ya nyumba umeitaja, unafahamu kwamba kuna Wakenya wengi bado hawajaridhia, licha ya kwamba kuna agizo kutoka mahakamani, na nakumbuka juzi ukiwa kwenye mkutano wa diaspora pia ulisisitiza ukasema kwamba housing levy lazima itekelezwe na kadhalika. Hebu tuelezee, kuna mabadiliko yoyote baada ya mahakama kutoa agizo lake na wewe kuendelea kusukuma kwamba ni sharti Mkenya atozwe hii ada ya nyumba?
Mahakama walisema hivi. Mahakama walisema hii ada ni sawa kama Wakenya wote watalipa. Right? That's what they said. They said it should not be discriminatory.
Mr. President, they didn't say that.
Kuna mkakati
kisheria. They said it is as it is discriminatory. And therefore unconstitutional.
No,
you interpret it.
The problem of unconstitutional was made by the media.
No, they said it's null and void.
So if it is unconstitutional, why did the court say we should continue to collect?
Because there's an application for stay orders.
How do we continue? No, how do we continue to do unconstitutionality?
No, Mr. President, at least you can agree on what the court said.
Yes.
And the court said that we've looked at everything and we arrive at the decision that this is discriminatory. Because of that, it doesn't agree with the constitutional Article 10 on governance. And therefore it is null and void.
No.
Kingine ambacho labda Mheshimiwa Rais nikuongezee, ilisema mahakama pia ilisema kwamba hakuna mkakati maalum kupitia KRA jinsi fedha hizi zitakusanywa.
Absolutely. Now that is what they told us to fix. And that is why we now have a law in Parliament. What the court said there are institutions that are not paying. There are groups that are not paying, that are not paying in the current setup. And we have said we are expanding the net of the payers. It will give us actually more money so that we can do more houses, which is a very positive thing that the court has done. And they have said, establish a mechanism how this money will be used. We have put a mechanism in law how it's going to be used. Let me tell you, good people, we can argue about this or that or the other. My question is, Do we have a problem of housing in Kenya? Yes. Do we have a problem of jobs in Kenya? Yes. Can we sort out? Because, you know, it is one thing to argue, even if you are a judge. And I am sure that is what went through their minds. Because the judges are also Kenyans. They know we have millions of young people out there who are jobless. A story was carried, for example, in one of the media houses here. I think I saw it on KTN, saying the crime rate in Ruiru has gone down because there are many people working in the housing program in Ruiru. I did not make the story. It was in KTN, and that is the truth. So even as you sit as a judge, even as you ask me a question as a journalist, we are discussing housing. Housing is an opportunity to do three major things. Number one, to create jobs. Is it a good thing for us to create jobs? These are not the children of William Ruto. These are the children of all Kenyans that will work. They will work as architects, they will work as engineers, they will work as carpenters, they will work as masons, they will work in whatever field. Some of them will be working in factories that are creating steel. Some of them will work in factories that are making for us cement to do the houses. Is it a good job? Is it a good thing? Do we have a problem of unemployment in Kenya? Yes. We need to sort it out. It has to be sorted out somehow. Number two, do we have a problem of industrialization? Do we have a problem of manufacturing? Yes. How do we create more manufacturing jobs, if not through programs like housing? How do we reduce the problem of land fragmentation, where land that is supposed to be used for agricultural productivity is now being subdivided for people to live? If we provide alternative housing, we will save the land that is going to settlement. We will use it to produce food so that we stop the slide into food insecurity, and we begin to tame the problem of high prices of food.
Mr. President,
these are obvious, and that is why I am very confident that the court will look at what is the public interest, what is the public good that comes with housing. Let me ask finally, to own a house in Kenya today, you need to have 4 million, 5 million, the simplest, the cheapest house. We are giving an opportunity through this affordable housing program for a mama mboga or a boda boda guy to buy a house of 400,000 where they can pay 4,000 shillings a month and eventually own a house. I mean, we are giving dignity to every Kenyan. And let me tell you, finally, housing was a program that was in the UDA manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, 1.5%. It was in Azimio manifesto, 1.5%. Yeah, it's not, and we all know that it is the right thing to do because other countries have done it and they have made a big difference. We have had this housing thing for as long as I have been a politician, but nobody has had the courage to implement it. Nobody has had the plan to do it.
Have you stopped to wonder or ask what the people think, what their sentiments are about this? Because times are tough, Mr. President.
Put in mind, 70% are saying no to this program.
Just wait. I want you to go to where these Kenyans are working. Go and ask them. Go and ask them. The beneficiaries, the people who are working today, they are not even the owners. They are just working. Go and ask them. And you see, this is the beginning of a program. Give it time. Kenyans will come to appreciate that, yes, my son is working, my daughter is working. If they are not working at the construction site, they are an architect, or they work in some company, they are an accountant in some company that is doing cement and construction products. And let me ask you, countries like Singapore, like Malaysia, like Korea, we all have been talking about them. We've been saying, oh, you know, we were at the same level with Korea, but today they are different from us. They made tough decisions. That's why they are where they are. We have to make tough decisions if we have to catch up. I mean, if we want to continue to make convenient politically correct decisions, we will continue to remain in the same place. And I know, for example, that it is politically expensive. I would be a very popular person if I abolished tomorrow. I said, okay, let's forget about the housing thing. People will clap for
Mr. President, I don't think there's anyone saying that you should stop it.
I don't want to be...
And Mr. President, if you remember, Mr. President,
I want to transform Kenya.
Yes, if you remember,
transforming Kenya is not a walk in the park. Transforming Kenya is not going to be done using convenient, politically correct, popular decisions. Some of the decisions may be difficult now, but we will all see the benefits as we go.
No doubt about that, Mr. President.
It is the wrong time. We've had housing as a plan for the last 50 years. Are you telling me for the last 50 years there was no correct time? It is never too late. It is never wrong to do the right thing.
Mr. President, just let's stay to the housing fund. Because when it started and you were walking around the country and selling this dream to many Kenyans, you told us this was a fund and we will contribute. And if you didn't want the house or didn't benefit, at the end of the day, you would get your money out at some point. Then overnight, in Parliament, it turned into a levy and a tax. What really changed and what caused you to move from a fund, which was really, really contributory, to this discriminatory fund that even the court has found to be? And does this mean that this plan changed overnight, or what really happened to cause you to make these changes? And just to stay on that point, was it necessary that we would start all these funds together in terms of, was it a must that you start the housing fund? You are here fighting the fire of housing. Again, you start the health crisis. Before this is done, even it's off, you are dealing with the taxation, And because of that, nearly every government agency is now waking up with taxes. So you find, levies going up by 3,900%. You find even pets now they're going to be taxed. And Kenyans are wondering, what has happened? Do you feel that you're out of touch with the people that you lead? Because then it will explain some of the decisions that you're doing.
Thank you very much for asking that question. Let's start with the levy. I proposed a fund. Yeah? There is a principle in Kenya today called public participation. It went to public participation. And Parliament, when coming from public participation, came and said it should instead be a levy, right? And as president, if the people said they wanted this changed into a different way of doing it, I agreed that, okay, let's go this way. But what did I do to make sure that it captures everybody? We changed the design of the whole delivery of the housing so that now we have social housing for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We'll pay 4,000 or 5,000 shillings and get a house. We have affordable housing for people in the middle who will pay between 5,000 and 15,000 every month. But we have also included 30% of all the units to include the people who largely are the contributors. The people who are the biggest contributors, the people in the middle class, who will pay now between 15,000 and 30,000. So we have made everybody a beneficiary, in the chain, again, to mitigate against what you're saying. And what have we done? Mortgage today is around 17%. What we have done is that we have now reduced the mortgage We are using the fund to mitigate the mortgage that you pay. And it is now gazetted that the people who will buy social houses, their mortgage will be at 3%. The people who will buy affordable houses, their mortgage will be at 6%. And the people who will be buying the market houses, we will reduce their mortgage by half. Even you, instead of paying 18, 17, 18%, you will now have an opportunity to pay at 7%. So that way, we have carried everybody, making sure that everybody who is paying has a chance to own a house. And that is how we are delivering.
Mr. President, on the question of accountability, because it is good that you highlight what happened with the public participation, and you say that Kenyans said they don't want it as it was structured that time. You also attribute responsibility to Parliament that they decided it should be a levy. Then you say, yourself, you said, let us change how it works. So I see a bit of distribution of responsibility. But did Kenyans tell you they wanted to be a levy or a tax?
What Kenyans told me is that they want jobs. Yeah.
On that particular question,
Kenyans
the participation
told me,
was on the housing levy, Mr. President.
I was, but you know, when Kenyans tell you they want jobs, it is you as a leader to figure out where those jobs are going to come from.
And so you presented a housing levy in the finance bill of 2023.
I presented to the people of Kenya housing, and I told them I am going to create jobs using this housing. And they agreed with me. And I have created jobs using housing. The mechanism of delivery could be this way or that way. Did I make a commitment to the people of Kenya that I'm going to implement housing? Yes. Did I tell them we will create jobs using housing? Yes. Have I implemented the program on housing? Yes. Have I created jobs using housing? Yes.
That you did and you are doing.
And you see,
Mr. President, sorry for this, but Mr. President, you are saying that you promised all those things and you are doing. But when people tell you, we don't want it, it is too expensive for us, you change it from a levy, from housing fund, from a contribution to a tax that is not even, you can't recoup it after the 7 years. How did the translation into that become?
You see, Sam, you know, you're splitting hairs.
I'm not splitting.
Yes, you are. Because what you are saying, you're trying to find fault. What is the greater good? What is the national interest? I mean, to you, does creating 120,000 jobs register anything good?
It is a good thing, but I'm asking you about public participation is in the Constitution.
That's making sure that an ordinary person who would otherwise never have a chance to own a home, now they have a chance to own a home. Does that make sense to anybody? Yes, it does.
And the process.
So you see, if you pass an exam with 80%, it's an A, my brother. It may not be 100% what I wanted, but it is 80% what I wanted. It is doing 80% of the job. Surely give me some marks.
Mr. President, the question is at what cost? At what cost, Mr. President? Because granted, the people told you they need jobs. This means they do not have the jobs. This means they do not have money in their pockets. And in response, what you're doing is taxing them further.
But let me ask you, my dear sister, the people who are working today did not have a job, right? Those are the people in the street. They didn't have a job. The people who have a job have had to pay 1.5%. 1.5% so that we can give a job to somebody else. And for your information, that somebody else that is getting a job is a taxpayer. They contribute to what we eventually earn. Is it too much for us as public servants who earn a salary to give 1.5% of our salary so that somebody else, another Kenyan, who is also a taxpayer, who also deserves something, they don't have a job because the job maybe they would have, I have. But I'm being asked, contribute 1.5% so that that other Kenyan who is walking in the street can have a job.
But it's not just that, Mr. President.
Let me just finish. They too can own a home, the same way you own a home. I don't think that is being asked.
It's not just that, Mr. President.
Bado hujalijibu la mwenzangu Wafula pale. Amesema iweje wakati huu ndio munaleta tuseme hizi taxations nyingi, mumeanza na affordable housing na bado hatuja elewa vizuri zaidi, tuko kwa health, bado tunajaribu taxations. Kwa nini zimekuja kwa wakati mmoja kiasi cha kwamba Mkenya anasikia uzito? Kwa nini isikwende step by step kiasi cha kwamba hata Mkenya atajua ni kweli tunasonga mbele lakini si finyiki, maisha yako sawa?
Wacha nikueleze. Mambo ya health kwa mfano. It is the profiling, it is the spin that you people are many people, let me not accuse you, many people are spinning it. What are we doing? What are we doing in health? We are saying in health, we want to reduce those who are, and they are, by the way, the majority of the people who are, when I spoke about hustlers, people thought I was not serious. I was very serious. That is why I am saying, those of us who have a job, let's contribute 1.5%, good people.